I now give the floor to His Excellency Feleti Teo, Prime Minister of Tuvalu.
Thank you, President. Your Excellency, President of the General Assembly, Philemon Young, the immediate past President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Dennis Francis, Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Excellencies. I am indeed very humbled by the great honor vested in me to speak at this opening session. A honor and responsibility that I accept with humility to speak as a representative of a member state most affected by the existential threats posed by sea level rise. But my country, Tuvalu, is just one of the many affected countries. And I solemnly address this august body, fully aware that the voices of the 1 billion people living in low-lying countries and territories and who are threatened by sea level rise need to be heard. Sea level rise is a global and a multi-dimensional phenomenon that requires global action and prompt response. No nation, no community can address it alone. For small island developing countries, sea level rise poses an existential threat to our economies, to our culture and heritage, and to the land that nourished our ancestors for centuries. The existential threat we face is not of our making, but it will remake us. In this century, many of the small island states and low-lying countries will lose considerable territory to rising sea, with some, like my country, running the risk of becoming largely uninhabitable. As the ocean rises, salt water permeates into the aquifers that provides our drinking water. A rising ocean brings higher tides, and with increasing storm intensity, our villages and fields are devastated throughout the year. Flooding increases soil salinity, reducing crop yields and weakening trees. Infrastructures such as homes, roads, and power lines are washed away. Higher land on which to rebuild does not exist. Our people will be unable to exist on the islands and shore they have called home for generations. Livelihoods are destroyed, families gradually move, community cohesion is tested, heritage is lost, and eventually the very fabric of our nations become increasingly threatened. For many of us, these are the hard realities we experience today, not the projections of a coming future. Yet the agreements reached at annual climate summits and international meetings say nothing about sea level rise, ignoring the plight of entire nations and deterring the voices of the 1 million people impacted. This is why today is a historical moment. This summit finally places sea level rise at the top of the international agenda through the remarkable and unprecedented action of the UN General Assembly. And I congratulate President Francis, his climate envoy, Professor Amagrain, and the co-facilitators, Ambassador Chan of Costa Rica and Ambassador Swalka of New Zealand, for this important achievement. Today is our historical opportunity to turn the global tide and to embark on a common path that secures prosperity, dignity, and rights to all affected countries and communities. Excellencies, today's summit hails a new kind of international cooperation. It raises awareness of the multidimensional nature of the threats of sea level rise. It calls for a comprehensive, multi-pronged approach to address it. Indeed, our meeting today is the kickstart of a responsible and informed process. It marks the takeoff for our global effort to shape an ambitious declaration by the General Assembly in September 2026. Our expectations are very much clear to that end. The declaration must be a strong pronouncement in support of the expectation of the 1 billion people. The declaration shall be an unwavering commitment to our sovereignty, dignity, prosperity, and rights. The declaration must be action-oriented and comprehensive. Towards that objective, we expect the declaration to include the following. Firstly, to ascertain the principle of statehood continuity as a tenet of international law and international cooperation, and to affirm that statehood cannot be challenged under any circumstances of sea level rise. Our membership in the United Nations and its specialized agency is permanent, notwithstanding the impact of climate change. Secondly, the declaration to reaffirm that our maritime zones, as established and notified to the Secretary General of the United Nations in accordance with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and the rights and entitlements that flow from them shall continue to apply without reduction, notwithstanding any physical changes connected to climate change, sea level rise. Thirdly, the declaration to call on the international community and regional institutions to enable climate mobility pathways that facilitate movement safely, orderly, and with dignity. We must address existing legal gaps and devise needed international legal frameworks to ensure the protection of the human rights of affected populations and those forcibly displaced by sea level rise. Fourthly, the declaration to devise concrete programs for the international community to support our efforts to safeguard our unique culture and heritage, both tangible and intangible. Fifthly, the declaration to establish dedicated and innovative financing mechanism to support the positive adaptation journeys of the most vulnerable communities. Such climate financing needs to reach the local level and should not burden countries suffering from repeat disasters with ever more debt. Together, we need to develop better economic opportunities and resilient livelihood for future generations. Finally, the declaration to underscore the importance of knowledge, data, and science to anticipate and plan for the impact of sea level rise, and to establish a dedicated platform to share best practices, innovative solutions, and necessary data and analysis to support informed risk disaster management decisions in affected countries. Excellencies, addressing sea level rise will merely be an aspiration without new partnership that can ensure higher collaborations, common purpose, and collective efforts. We welcome the launch of the Community's Climate Adaptation Facility that will provide climate quick impact grants to our affected community. We encourage the donor community and the climate financing institutions to channel their support through it. Further, I invite you to join the coalition for addressing sea level rise and its existential threats, co-chaired by Tuvalu and Germany, and pressed forward by a group of 10 strong champions, including Morocco, Romania, South Korea, Malta, Denmark, Costa Rica, Palau, Antigua and Barbuda, New Zealand, and Bangladesh. As a Coalition for Higher Ambition, we will continue to work with all of you to advance stronger advocacy, to raise global awareness, and to ensure higher commitment in support for the affected countries and community. Finding the right solutions will require statesmanship and empathy, beginning with an acknowledgement that a situation globally caused must also have a globally just and equitable solution. The international community needs to act now. We cannot afford to wait any longer. I thank you all and wish the high-level meeting all the success. Whakawhatailasi, tuvalu mo te atua, tuvalu for God.